Well, hello, Masterpiece Women. My name is Tina Rains, and I'm the founder of Masterpiece Women community and podcast. I hope you're having a wonderful day today. So today, our topic is all about forgiveness. I'm going to say that forgiveness, I have become an expert on, and not because it's a good thing. However, it's a good thing because I gave myself the gift of forgiveness. I had so much trauma in my life, from abuse as a child, sexual abuse as a child, to I had multiple predators, I had divorce, infidelity, betrayal of my best friend who I had was my business partner, who then married my ex-husband, all kinds of stuff to forgive, guys. So I felt like I was the expert. I remember saying to God, I can't handle one more thing. Help me get out of this, because I just can't handle one more thing. I need you. And he did. He helped me. But what I learned was my responsibility. Hear me, ladies. It's your responsibility to choose to be the victor versus the victim. If you stay in the victim mentality, it will hold you back from reaching your goals. It will hold you back from thriving. Resentment destroys creativity. So it's our jobs. It is our blessing to forgive others. God forgave us. So why do we think we're better than God, that we shouldn't forgive? And oftentimes it's because you feel like the person doesn't deserve to be forgiven. If you ask anyone you meet if they've ever been hurt, you're going to hear a resounding yes, absolutely. We've all been hurt. Now ask them, though, if they've handled the hurt. What do they say? Oftentimes, they'll give you stories of resentment. They'll give you stories of wanting to seek revenge on them. Oh, I'd love to just hurt them. They'll share stories of internalization. Oftentimes we put on our mask. I wore my mask for years. I didn't tell people about my pain for years and years and years. And you know what? The greatest gift that I could give anybody was sharing my pain, because it impacted the world. It impacted so many women that then said, oh my goodness, you experienced that? So did I. Let me tell you the stories. And then I was able to pour into them and say, hey, let's talk about forgiveness, because it's not a gift to the predator. It's a gift to yourself. People struggle with depression. They struggle with anger. They struggle with sadness. They struggle with so much because of resentment and unforgiveness. So I want you to take a moment right now, and I want you to just sit and ponder. Is there anyone or anything that you can say that right this moment you have just angst in your spirit about? An individual, a situation that happened, someone that's hurt you. You've got to let it go, my friend. You have to choose to forgive. And forgiveness is not a feeling. It's a true choice. So let's talk about the sadness that comes with it, the anger that comes with it. Why would anyone hold on to those ill feelings or hold on to the past? Their past pain. Why would people want to do that? Well, typically the studies show that holding on to that emotional pain transpires into physical manifestations. People have disease because of anger, because of pain, because of sadness that is caused from unforgiveness. There was a story that I heard once that was so powerful. It was about this young man who had a broken heart. He was so sad. He was so depressed. He keeps going back to the doctor, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. And finally, he ends up in the hospital. He's constantly sick with chronic disease. And a doctor who knew the Lord said, son, we tried everything. We've checked everything. You're okay, but you have all these issues going on. Can I ask you, is there anybody you need to forgive? What's going on in your life? And he started talking to him about his psychological well-being. And what did he share? He shared, well, my girlfriend left me, and I've been so sad, so depressed. And it literally was causing this disease process and mental well-being, anxiety, depression. So much of it, the research goes back to a trigger. Something transpired in their lives, a trauma that they held on to that basically ate away at that well-being. And so it's so important from not just a mental perspective and a physical and an emotional and a spiritual, but every area of our lives. It's so important for us to choose forgiveness. So let's talk about really what really is forgiveness. Forgiveness is not, it again, is not a balance of scales of justice. That it is not. So please do not hear that I say that, oh, we're forgiving the perpetrator, but gets them off the, not at all. I read somewhere once, and it really did hit home for me. For those of us who've been wounded deeply by others, either emotionally or physically, accepting that wound and the act of forgiveness are two separate things, and they can bring a sense of freedom. It's more about grace and mercy than it is justice. You're not getting justice by forgiving. You're giving mercy. You're giving grace, just like God gave us mercy. God gave us grace. You're extending that to someone that by all means doesn't deserve it, but we didn't deserve it either. And God extends that to us. So when you put it in that perspective, you have to ask yourself, am I more important than God? If God's willing to forgive us, if he's willing to show us mercy, willing to show us grace, we're not any better than God, are we? By any stretch of the imagination. So us holding on to it, and actually the Lord says it's a sin too. So forgiveness is not condoning or excusing wrongdoing or harmful behavior. I want to say that again to you, ladies. Forgiveness is not condoning. It's not excusing any of the wrongdoing or any of the pain. I'm not discounting your pain. Believe me, ladies, I've been through so much pain. It doesn't take away the pain. But you know what it takes away? It takes away the control that pain has over you. By extending forgiveness, we're not saying that what they did was okay. It wasn't okay for my perpetrators to sexually molest me as a child, starting at 7, ending at 12. It wasn't okay. We can recognize that the wrongdoer is human. They made mistakes. They did wrong, yet still hold belief that that person should have acted differently, but yet we can forgive them. Like we can say, yes, what they did was wrong. They should have acted differently. What they did to me was hurtful. What they did to me was horrible. But we can choose to forgive because it's a choice. They should have. You're right. They absolutely positively should have acted differently. Forgiveness isn't a sign of weakness. Some people feel like we're tougher if we don't forgive because they don't deserve it. Well, can I tell you, you're not hurting them. They probably don't care if you forgive them or not, to be honest. Most people don't, that are the perpetrators or that have hurt people. But you know what it does for you? It makes you strong, because unforgiveness is actually a weakness because you're choosing that pain over yourself. Sometimes we can hold on to our resentments as a way of attempting to just like demonstrate our boundaries, our self-respect. But really, it takes so much more courage and significant strength and compassion and mercy and love for yourself. And even, can I say, love for the offender? I'll never forget that Hetty Britt's, one of my favorite people on this whole planet, shared her story of rape. These perpetrators came into her home. They raped her while they tied up her husband. They stole all their stuff. It was horrific. Their kids are in the other bedroom. She just took it. And the whole time she's praying and she's praying. And the Lord showed her immediately to forgive the perpetrators. And she had this privilege of going and loving on them in jail. How impactful is that? And when you see that kind of grace and you see that kind of forgiveness, he may or may not have ever worried about her again. Of course, he's in jail because of it, right? But she was just the person that got him put in jail. But no, she extended grace. She extended forgiveness to him, and it changed his life. He then accepted Christ. What a beautiful picture of who we're supposed to be on this planet. So sometimes even the pain God used, I can tell you, God has used my pain. And I've said that to many people. It's like, I'm thankful that I walk through what I walk through in my life. Why? Because I'm able to use it to help all of you. When you tell me your stories, I get you, my friend. I get you. I understand the pain, and I'm not discounting it. But what I also know is you can be victorious over it. You can forgive others and live in victory and live in forgiveness and in freedom. Because it's not discounting the depth of your suffering. Yes, it's important to honor the depth of our pain. And it's necessary to find freedom from the suffering and really open our hearts to the peace that comes with forgiveness. Forgiveness is really a path. It's a path to release our soul so that we can live in freedom, so we can live at peace. Because as long as you're not able to forgive, you will not be at peace. So now that we've kind of talked about what forgiveness is not, let's look at what true forgiveness looks like. Forgiveness is a practice of extending grace when others don't deserve it. So forgiveness is a practice of extending grace even when they don't deserve it. It takes time, it takes dedication, and it takes courage. It takes lots of courage. And it's not a feeling. We talked about a moment ago. It's not a feeling. So sometimes that unforgiveness is going to rear its ugly head. And then you just grab it again and say, I choose to forgive. And you let it go again. And sometimes it takes that repetition over and over and over because of the habit that we've created in our subconscious mind. We live in that habitual state of unforgiveness that we have to practice it. I have someone in my life that I have to practice it over and over and over and over. And it's because I do have to have them in my life. But yet they've hurt me so deeply, and I choose to forgive. And we actually have a good relationship now, and it took me years to get there. But it may not be something that comes naturally to us. And if you've been really wounded, I'm going to encourage you, get a great counselor. Navigate through the pain. But don't protect yourself from forgiveness. Let me say that again. Don't protect yourself from forgiveness. In other words, don't create a shell around yourself to be that tough person because you want to protect yourself. I'm going to tell you it's the opposite. If you will let it down, get it out, and it may be painful getting it out, because I know the first time I actually shared it in public, I fell apart. Yet it was so cleansing. So I'm going to encourage you to find a confidant, find a counselor, let it out, choose to forgive. Forgiveness is a choice and takes conscious effort and practice. And it's scary sometimes and it's difficult sometimes, but you can do it. I know you can. And I want you to, because I want you to live in that freedom. It's a process. It's a process of really freeing ourselves from all the negative feelings. So when those feelings come up, you just go, yeah, no, I'm not staying there. I'm choosing to forgive. It's a choice. The path to forgiveness allows us the opportunity to just release it, to just release the shame, to release the anger, to release the resentment and the desire for vengeance, and the service of making space for peace, make space for love. When we make more space for love and peace, it frees us. It also helps us to change our perception. Forgiveness is an opportunity to change our perception, because what happens is when we have that unforgiveness, we perceive everything in life that comes into our eyes, our ears, everything, we perceive it. If we have unforgiveness in our hearts, then we're perceiving it through that woundedness. And so our responses are coming from a place of woundedness. Our perceptions are coming from a place of woundedness. Forgiveness is such a gift to ourselves. Give yourself, when we're talking about the holiday seasons this year, give yourself the gift. The greatest gift besides a relationship with Christ is the gift of forgiveness, because it is a gift that you give yourself. You're not giving it again to the perpetrator. You're giving it to yourself. When you hold on to those hurts, you stay in that place of anger and fear, and you really limit your ability to deeply connect with others. You always still have a wall because of the pain. So we're inherently social creatures, and relationships are necessary and they're valuable and they bring such value to our lives. And we want to add value to those relationships instead of being in that survival mode. We want to thrive in our lives. And when true forgiveness takes place, ladies, our inner beings are just peaceful. They have so much greater capacity to connect with others on deeper, more meaningful levels, in deeper ways, and be more authentic and real and vulnerable. Takes that fear away. Some people will call it letting go of the past, let go, let God. Others call it forgiveness. Not only forgiving others, but you want to forgive yourself. Whatever part you played in whatever pain you have to choose to forgive yourself and ask God to forgive you for the unforgiveness, because it is a sin. It says it in the Bible. Do those 3 steps. Forgive them, forgive yourself, and ask God to forgive you, and let it go, and seek to live in freedom by forgiving those who have hurt you. This was really difficult for me in the past. It really was. Right when I thought I had gotten past my childhood and my husband and all the pain that transpired, the abuse, the betrayal. My best friend was probably one of the most painful things that transpired in my life. I'd been hurt so many times that I just really was like, no, I can't forgive one more time. And I did. As I shared earlier, I would like say to the Lord, you have me highly mistaken for someone else, because I can't go through one more thing. I can't forgive another soul. But yet I did, because I learned the tools to forgive. And that's what Masterpiece Women Empowerment is all about as well. We want to give you tools to forgive. We want to give you tools to thrive. We want to give you tools to be set free, because you deserve to live in freedom. We all do, because God has a plan and a purpose for our lives. And we cannot fulfill those purpose and plans that He has for us while we're sitting in unforgiveness. So who do you need to forgive? Again, it's not a feeling, it's a choice. Unforgiveness creates these negative feelings and they'll turn up over and over and over with anger, resentment, lack of self-worth. If you talk to most people who don't feel good about themselves, they're harboring some kind of resentment. They're harboring some kind of pain. They're harboring some kind of unforgiveness. It keeps us from enjoying the present. It turns into depression, turns into anxiety, and ultimately sabotaging those relationships that we hold so dear. You do not want to be in that place. So practicing forgiveness is a commitment. It's a commitment to change. It's a commitment to letting go. It's a commitment to having grace. It's a commitment to moving away from the victim role and taking a proactive and positive stance on your well-being, on the woman that God has created you to be, and living in its fullest, thriving in that place. It's a commitment to having more peace in your life. It's a commitment to living a full and renewed life in Christ. Because oftentimes, if you hear about the women that are just catty and mean, and they're jealous and they worry all the time, or they're struggling with anxiety, they're struggling with depression. Now, I am not discounting, ladies. Hear me. I'm not discounting chemical imbalances, because that is a real thing, and I'm not discounting that. But I will tell you that even if you have a chemical imbalance, if you have unforgiveness, it will increase it. So I'm not saying that if you forgive everybody, that's going to go away. It will definitely decrease it. I will tell you, if you have a chemical imbalance, please seek a medical professional. So I'm a nurse. I'm all about using the gifts that God has given us in medicine as well. So, but any decision to make a change is going to be a commitment. It's going to take effort. And journaling is a great way to document reflecting on these feelings to help you move forward with your goals, help you move to true freedom in the past. One of the best ways that an exercise I did on Dynamics for Freedom, and there's also Restoring Relationships. If you haven't done that, it's a fabulous program. I'm going to encourage you to do that. But they had us write out letters to everybody who had hurt us in our lives. I had a lot of letters to write. And when I wrote that letter out, just saying how much I forgave them, But yet, acknowledging all the pain, I was able to then let it go. I didn't even give those letters to anybody. I simply tore them up and threw them away. And then, you know what, as I processed a little bit further, you know what I was able to do? I was able to step back. And this is powerful, ladies. I want you to hear me. Step back and write letters to my perpetrators of all the things I was thankful for, that I had gratitude for, that they had provided to me in my life. What that did was set me free even further, because I went from the victim and the, okay, you did all this bad stuff to me and I'm writing all, I'm getting rid of it and I'm forgiving, to, wow, look how God's used it. Wow, look how my life is so full because I have chosen to forgive you. And because of what you caused, I was able to do all these things that God called me to do. God allowed it in my life. He didn't cause it. But when you go to that place and you go to a place of gratitude, it changes your life. It's definitely a process, but it's a process that's so well worth doing. So are you having difficulty forgiving? You may need to get a coach. You may need to get a professional counselor. Whatever you need to do, ladies, I encourage you to do it. Take the first steps today. Take the first steps towards forgiveness, towards healing, towards your personal freedom. It's an investment well worth making. And I'm excited to hear about your stories of forgiveness. Email me, let me know. Join our membership. Join us today. We have an incredible group of women. We do 30 days free. You can get into our groups right now. We're walking through Think and Grow Rich with a biblical application. We're also doing Build Your Own Online Business. Both are just, I grow every time I do them. So join us. We would love to have you. We have some great coaches. We have some great counselors in our network. If you need some assistance with that, would love to help you. So connect with Masterpiece Women. It's on masterpiecewomen.org. We would love to have you, and God bless you, ladies. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And please take the time and the effort to start the process. You'll be so thankful you did. God bless you and have a wonderful day.